Okay, I've got all 5 test pieces painted up for the most part. The one that gave me the most trouble, which I thought it would, the tinfoil. Now, let's see if we get this focused. The tinfoil has some nice little details and has a lot of potential. But with the tinfoil, the paint takes a little bit longer to dry initially and requires an attention to detail while creating these bricks that the other methods do not require. If I had spray primed this tinfoil, the spray primer would probably have held the tinfoil together a lot better than the tinfoil hold itself together. But I don't know if you can hear, it's raining outside. I'm not going outside to spray prime. So this has potential, but its potential wasn't realized in this first attempt. Maybe I'll revisit this technique later on. Now we have the original Scotty style technique with the foam. Remember, we took the foam, carved it up with a pen, and just simply painted it. This took the paint the worst out of the remaining 4. And with that said, it still took the paint fairly well. Just took a little bit more of the base coat to get into the cracks, and of course, it took longer to dry because it doesn't absorb paint as well as the next few materials. But as you can see, it looks nice with the texture we put in it. The dry brushing makes that texture pop. The cracks look good. Good as always. The clay is next because it didn't take paint as well as the cork or the texture paste. The reason being that this particular air dry clay from Crayola, when it gets even a little bit moist, it starts to soften up. So when applying that first base coat, it started softening up, and I wanted to refrain from getting any brush strokes in there. But you could take a close look. You might be able to see some of the brush strokes, you might not be able to see some of the brush strokes, but you can sure as hell see the texture we put into that clay. This wall took the longest simply because the clay requires a drying time. The benefit of the clay, though, is that it gives it weight. The drawback of that weight is that once this is double layer, all that weight's going to be on the top, and your walls might be a little bit top heavy. Now we have what was mentioned earlier, the cork. The natural texture of the cork, as you can see, picked up the dry brushing beautifully. The cracks look nice. Everything about it is cool. Everything about it is nice. Cork is a very fun thing to work with. And this is the kind of results you can expect to get when using cork for your 2.5D walls. The last thing was utilizing the stone floor technique that I discussed in an earlier video, but using it for a different purpose, which is to have stone brickwork. Dry brush picks up textures like crazy because it has just a wonderful amount of texture. I probably went a little bit too heavy on the last dry brush of white, but it's still a lot of good texture and it looks good on the wall. It also takes the paint the best, dries the fastest. The only drawback to that technique is you have to create a sheet. Where is the sheet? A sheet of cardstock like this prior. Once you have sheets of cardstock with texture paste painted on it, you can just cut out what you need. You can cut out the floor slabs you need, the stone brickwork, any design, and as we discussed, you could just draw an actual design on the back. If you want to go circular, you could draw, circular stone textures on the back and whatnot, and just cut it out according to that design. But on the other side, it'll have texture. You can glue it on and have a wonderful thing. Once again, The only reason I'm using a pink texture paste or lavender texture paste was because I have plenty left over from the video I made earlier showing you how to actually make your own texture paste. To have a bit of a shortcut, it's best if you use black acrylic or whatever you wish your base coat to be. That way you can completely skip the base coating stage. So, materials again: foil, foam, it's the OG method, clay. Drawback is the drying time of the clay. Cork, it's beautiful. Biggest drawback about the cork is that it's one of the most expensive materials to put on your walls. Texture paste, bricks. The only drawback is you require to have a texture sheet beforehand. Once you have a texture sheet though, you can use it to make bricks, your floor pattern, or to crumple up and throw at airplanes that fly over your head while you're trying to videotape. So, hope you enjoyed the textures, and remember always to keep cool and craft on. Peace.